This Soonerscoop.com video is streaming in crystal clear 4K resolution on YouTube thanks to Enjoy Vision in Oklahoma City. From the big plays to life's everyday moments, see it all in sharp focus with LASIK at Enjoy Vision. Enjoy Vision. This is where Soonerscoop LASIK.
Hello and welcome back. Eddie Rodosovich, George Stoy here from the Soonerscoop.com studios. It is Monday, December 8th. Welcome back. A little bit of a different speed here. Obviously, Oklahoma begins prep for the college football playoffs coming up here in, 12 days, 11 days from now. We'll get plenty of opportunities to talk with the team. I think we will coming up over the next week and a half. But today we wanted to take a little bit of a step back into the regular season to go over some of the top moments and plenty to choose from, George.
Yeah, there were so many, even thinking back, I know we're going to highlight some of the Michigan game here in a second, but thinking back to early in the season, it feels so long ago. But for Oklahoma to get to this point, you heard Brent Venables kind of talk about it yesterday. They've treated their whole season kind of like a playoff, and that's why they're sitting in this spot. But, so many bbig moments, big plays. You'll see a theme of a lot of the same guys popping up. But certainly it's kind of fun to look back and be like, hey, remember that in the Michigan or the Auburn game?
All important moments throughout the season that have kind of culminated with Oklahoma's first college playoff appearance since 2019. I think that there's a lot of people too, and it just kind of dawned on me as I was driving down to Dorman today, was just the fact that there's a lot of people that I'm sure that watch this that have various text groups that I'm sure that a lot of these conversations way back in June and July, even before SEC Media Day, it started with, wouldn't it be cool if Oklahoma could play a home playoff game? And that opportunity now presents itself with Alabama coming into town. We had the wrap-up or the breakdown with Brent Venables on Sunday as he spoke with the media via Zoom on Sunday, just kind of about the rematch and everything that goes into that. You can watch that here on the Soonerscoop.com YouTube channel. But what a cool scene that's going to be come next Friday.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Like you said, we're going to highlight some of the home games this year, but everybody wanted an SEC night game. Well, you're getting one,
sure.
Finally, and it's the biggest of the year at playoff games. So I think the atmosphere, it feels like so many people I've already talked to that are like, I'm taking off work on Friday.
There's a lot of people planning on coming to Norman that day, it feels
I know that Oklahoma's made, I think, some sort of arrangements. I don't know if they've announced them yet for graduation and all of that, but certainly it feels like the community here in Norman, Oklahoma City, wherever you're at. I know Tulsa, my dad's talked about it. Everybody's pretty fired up.
We talked about Oklahoma City hosting the NBA Finals and the revenue that comes into the city for that. I have to imagine when you have graduation weekend and then you throw in a college football playoff game, it's going to be good for the vendors.
Oh yeah,
maybe lost a little bit with the 11 a.m. kickoff at the end of the season, but plenty to get into here as we take a look back. Before we do that, we want to tell you about our good friends over at Big Game Football Factory. They're back. BigGameUSA.com/Sooners CFP. And as you see there, the football, pretty damn cool for maybe a loved one if you're looking for a Christmas present. What better way to do it than Oklahoma making history by making the college football playoffs? Now's your chance to bring home history with the Oklahoma Sooners official limited edition CFP football. This exclusive football is a symbol of excellence and built for the biggest stage in the sport and capturing the pride, passion, and performance of playoff football. Only 12 programs earn the right to hold one each year. Now is your chance to have one for yourself, and you can keep it forever. This will be the football that Oklahoma uses come Friday night against Alabama, or I guess next Friday night against Alabama, handcrafted in the United States of America. Thank you. These authentic game day footballs are made specifically and approved for on-field play during the college football playoffs with a certificate of authenticity. That one had a little bit of trouble the first time around. Every detail is stitched, shaped, and finished by hand using the same craftsmanship trusted by the teams on the field by Big Game Football Factory, the largest American-owned football factory. Pretty damn cool, George.
That ball is awesome. We definitely need to get one for the office and maybe in the new studio.
Sure.
In the background. That's awesome.
Much like the regular season football that we had told you about, this one has been customized to meet each quarterback's specific preferences, so you'll get the football made exactly the way John Mateer loves to have it. Must have gift for collectors, alumni, students, and diehard fans. So once again, you don't want to witness history. You can own it for yourself. And yes, this is the football that Oklahoma will be using come their first college football playoff appearance since 2019. Get yours exclusively from BigGameUSA.com. That is BigGameUSA.com/Sooners CFP. Sooners CFP, as you see there on the screen in front of you. Plenty of stuff to get over to Big Game.
Need to get one of those and get it signed by my guy Owen Heineke.
That'd be sick.
That'd be awesome.
I'm sure that there's a lot of Bishop Kelly graduates that would love just that for their Christmas present. Thank you to our good friends over at Big Game Football. All right, before we get into the plays, the big moments of the year, did have On 3 coming out with their all-freshman team on Monday. Two Sooners, Cortland Guillory and Michael Fasusi. We'll start with Cortland Guillory. 585 snaps, 6 pass breakups, 21 completions on 44 targets, 206 yards, allowed 1 touchdown this season in 10 starts. George, he's been fantastic.
Yeah, and I think the 1 touchdown was to Cam Coleman, right? Is that correct?
Was. I believe so.
So, I mean, he's been fantastic. And I know that he certainly has some moments that you're like, man, you got to turn your head around or can't get a PI there or whatever. But for a true freshman cornerback, he has been spectacular. We've talked about it. He's a great kid, too, talking to him after media. Maybe we'll get to talk to him this week. He's been awesome. So I'm actually working on a feature story. I talked to his mom last week about him, and he's got a great story. So super cool to see him on there, and he's been just awesome. I mean, Gentry Williams had season-ending shoulder surgery, and obviously that's a blow for OU, but you feel really good about a guy like Cortland Guillory and the way that he's played this year.
We talked about it at the beginning of the season about the depth at cornerback. Should they have taken another guy in the spring portal? Obviously they didn't, and it felt like it was because of guys like Cortland Guillory that were going to, they thought, have pretty good freshman seasons. Yep. I think he exceeded those high expectations.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's somebody that they obviously bet on. I mean, we sat in here and it felt like we were showing all of his highlights last year during the recruiting report, and he's lived up to that. He's been awesome, and I think it's been really cool to see him grow as a player, and he's a big reason why Oklahoma's been so good defensively this year.
100%, and certainly it kind of you get excited when you start thinking about him having possibly 2 more years in Norman before he makes his way into the National Football League, which I think if he continues on this trajectory, he certainly will have that opportunity.
I mean, he could be, I don't want to say a day 1 pick, but he's got real potential to be a day 2 guy and somebody that a lot of NFL teams would want him. And he's got the size and the athleticism to play in the NFL for sure.
And I think that speaking with Cortland specifically too, he's a guy that he did have some freshman moments, you could say, at the beginning of the year, especially against Auburn. We haven't talked about him all that much here over the last month in Red November, obviously, and I think it's been because he's getting better each week.
Yeah, I mean, you just feel good about him out there. I would argue he's one of their best, if not their best man-to-man guy in coverage. So they trust him. They let him be on an island, and again, like we've said, he's exceeded expectations and really been a huge benefit for this team.
One on the defensive side. The offensive side, freshman offensive tackle Michael Fasusi made 9 starts this season, 600 snaps, only allowed 2 sacks on 343 passing plays. That is graded, obviously, by Pro Football Focus. Also had one of the highest grades among freshman offensive tackles in the run game. There were high expectations for this guy. He made the preseason All-American team, certainly lived up to the billing here over his 9 starts this season, George.
I mean, yeah, he's been awesome. And, it's funny looking back at like fall camp, we're like, could he start by the end of the season? He was starting week 2 against Michigan. Like that was his first start, and he would have started, I think, week 1, if not for the episode he had there, like the last week of fall camp.
God.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's been awesome, and he's, been playing through the ankle injury, and I think he's finally getting healthy. That's one of those guys that's, I'm sure been banged up, and, these few weeks off has been good for him. But, I mean, he's certainly been everything that Oklahoma thought he would be and hoped he would be, and he's only going to get better. I mean, and think about what he's done. To be a freshman All-American as a left tackle is one thing. To do it in the SEC against some of the best edge rushers that are in the country, I think it speaks volumes about Michael Fasusi's pure talent, but also just maturity level and ability to step in and do what he's done from really week 1 almost.
There were high expectations again for this guy, and I think that certainly it takes a type of player from a mental perspective to be able to be thrown in, like you said, into the Michigan game.
It's crazy.
And he certainly lived up to those expectations and was one of the 4 reasons that everybody was so excited alongside of Owen Hollenbach, Darius Afalava, obviously Ryan Foje getting a little bit of run as well on the Oklahoma offensive line. Okay, so we broke this down into just top moments. We kind of spitballed, sat in the Sutter Scoop offices up here on Campus Corner, came up with them. I'm sure there's going to be some moments that you go, that should have been on the list. We apologize in advance. Here are
there's a lot of
them, though.
There's a lot too. Like we highlighted some offensive plays, especially late in the year. We'll get to those. There's probably some defensive moments that we probably should have included in those, but the offense, they're just a little bit sexier plays in terms of highlights.
No doubt. All right, that's where we'll start then. Speaking of getting a start against Michigan, it was John Mateer versus Michigan. OU wins 24-13. He goes 21-34, 270 yards, had a touchdown, had an interception as well. 19 carries, 74 yards, 2 touchdowns. He garnered SEC Offensive Player of the Week as well as Senior Bowl Player of the Week. At that time, through 2 games, George, 662 yards, the second most yards for a OU quarterback through the first 2 games of his career, obviously trailing Josh Heupel, 773 yards in 1999, and it all culminated with a 16-play, 78-yard drive that ended up giving Oklahoma an 11-point lead at the end of the game. What a fantastic performance this was for John Mateer, and a lot of us after this game were talking about, is he going to be in New York City by the end of the year?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. This was kind of the... I don't know about coming out party, but it kind of felt that way a bit for this Oklahoma team, but especially John Mateer, and it's wild to think now, people are on our own board saying, should Oklahoma go get a different quarterback? But what Mateer did in this game that night, it was kind of like, oh man, like OU might have the best or one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and I still think Mateer can play that way. If OU could get the John Mateer that played against Michigan the rest of the way in the playoff, I like their chances about against anybody almost. So
Deion Burks had a big game
Deion
as
Burks
well.
Was great. They had that drive too. I remember it was right before halftime. They went down the field to go up 14-0, and that was kind of one of those moments. It's like, oh man, like OU's probably really good. Like it was that was a really fun night, and I remember the hype leading up to that game. It was massive, and for Oklahoma to live up to those expectations. And, that night, too, that defense was so good against Michigan. Really only gave up one big play.
Well, and that sub-storyline of Oklahoma and John Mateer versus Bryce Underwood, who's making his first road start as a Michigan Wolverine.
It's kind of crazy.
Certainly I think you said it earlier, but certainly one of those games that it feels like now it's years ago.
Yeah.
But certainly was kind of a big part of, okay, maybe there is something here with this team.
That play right
that
there
we haven't remembered.
That's a play that we really haven't seen, as of late, though, where he, I think Mateer scrambles out and he finds Sategna down the sideline. This one right here, that's one play that I feel like's kind of been missing from this offense a bit. What a play. This was, I remember saying, wow, in the press box, like Oklahoma hasn't had a play like that offensively in a while. So that was awesome. They need to kind of recreate that if they can.
It's not because they haven't tried either.
Yeah.
They've had a couple guys down on the sidelines, almost that exact play, really, and just haven't been able to hit on it. You would hope here over a month.
His legs were
practice,
great that night, too.
He was great. 74 yards, had the 2 touchdowns on the ground, and obviously led to the reason that he picked up SEC Offensive Player of the Year honors. From the Michigan game, we moved to kind of the biggest game on the conference schedule at that young portion of the year, and that was the final offensive drive against Auburn is what we selected. Oklahoma, if you remember, they're down 17 to they're down 22 17-15, I believe at that point.
17-16.
17-16, that's right.
Yep. 17-16.
I'm an idiot.
Because they ended up going for 2.
That's right,
and they didn't get
That's
it.
right. But it starts with like a lot of these, really good drives. It started off on a really good pace. You had Deion Burks over the middle. It was Sategna that was a big play as well, a couple times on this final drive to take the lead.
Yeah, no, it was a really well pieced together drive, and this was at a point where I remember OU's offense was not doing a whole lot.
Yeah.
They had not been able to move the ball most of the second half, and all of a sudden you look up and I think
it was this
Jackson
play right
Arnold,
here, the Jaren Kanak. I thought that once you got across midfield, things started to happen a little bit quicker for Oklahoma, and obviously they hit Sategna on the sideline here.
Yeah, Sategna, this was the big play, and I think they initially ruled it incomplete.
They did.
And they reviewed it and obviously gave it to him, but
One of the litany of plays that Auburn ended up riding into the SEC, I believe, after the game.
Yeah, we probably should have put the hidden Sategna play on here. That would have really pissed some people off. But yeah, this was a massive drive, and it was one of those ones where they finally got in a rhythm, and Mateer looked really good, made good decisions, and obviously he has the big run here that was pretty awesome. And it was also crazy too. You know, it was the next day that we find out that he had broken his hand, or 2 days later.
Crazy.
You know, and he had been playing with it the whole game with a broken hand. So
what he finished the game, I think it was like 15 of 17,
yeah,
or 14 of 16.
15 of 16 to finish
15
the
of
game.
16
He had like
to
a point
finish
where
the game.
I think it was like 11 in a row.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Unbelievable. Things kind of turned there after
Yeah.
that Auburn game for the Oklahoma offense. We'll go back into the Auburn game, though, because if you remember, our Mason Thomas sat out the first half. He comes out in the second half, gets the damn near targeting call against Jackson Arnold, sacking him, obviously, down in the south end zone. But we'll say for the moment, it was our Mason Thomas putting kind of the seal of approval on the game with a safety to end the game. Oklahoma, it was a day of pressure, 7.5 sacks against Auburn, limiting the Tigers to 287 yards. Sategna, obviously, he had a big day, as we said when we were talking about John Mateer, 9 receptions, 127 yards. 8 different players registered to sack, 3 quarterback hurries, 14 tackles for loss against Auburn, George.
And that, you know, we said the Michigan game was kind of the coming out party, and you felt really good about the offense. And they played great defensively that game, but the Auburn game, I remember thinking, like, oh, this defense might be one of the best in the country. Like, and obviously it turns out Jackson Arnold and Auburn's offense was terrible.
But that offensive line with all the veteran players that they had up front, it was going to be a big test for Oklahoma from a defensive line.
Just the way they finished that game, where they're just like, okay, we're just going to end this thing. That was something that, you know, not that we hadn't really seen that, but, you know, prior defenses, and, you know, you think back to last year, they gave up some drives in big moments, and for them to come up like they did at the end of that game, obviously our Mason Thomas is sacked, but I think it was Grayson Holton had a sack. I think David Stone almost had a sack on, you know, the 2 plays before. So just unbelievable, and obviously, like you said, our Mason Thomas, the way that he came in that second half and kind of dominated the game was something special.
It was incredible. From there, we moved to the only game that Oklahoma lost that we included on the moment
no
section
Texas
here.
Game. There was no moments in Dallas.
There might have been some moments after the game, but certainly not during the game. Xavier Robinson against Ole Miss, 65-yard touchdown, and probably the first true pop of the day, not just in the stadium, but maybe of the year, the loudest pop, because I think this play for a team that was searching for the run game at the time, George, this gave you a little bit of hope.
Yeah, and I mean, Xavier Robinson was really the only reason they were in that game. You know, obviously they had been trailing. I think it was 22-10 or something like 25-10, or
25 or 25-10, I believe. No, it was a 12-point game.
I think it was 22-10. But anyways, Xavier Robinson really carried them in that second half and got them back into the game. And there was a point they came all the way back. I think they were up 26-25. You know, they're, I want to say, in the late third quarter, early fourth quarter, and you're like, man, they might win this game despite how bad they've played.
Sure.
Obviously, didn't go that way, but it was one of those things where it's like, man, like, they found something with Xavier Robinson, and obviously there was so much doom and gloom after that game, but that was kind of the, Xavier Robinson's Oklahoma's best running back, and maybe he's somebody they can lean on moving forward. Obviously, they did against Tennessee a week later.
Xavier Robinson finishes the day 9 carries for 109 yards, 2 touchdowns.
I think it was the most in a game this year, right?
I believe so.
So,
and even now it is, isn't it?
I think so. That's what I'm saying. I think it's the most rushing yards by a single player this season for Oklahoma in a game.
Look, they weren't able to get over the hump there, but at the end of the day, that was a big play, and I think that maybe it set something up for things to come with Xavier Robinson. Obviously, the run game after that, it kind of improved week on and week, and then obviously they hit a little bit of a snag with the injuries. You certainly need that to continue if you're going to run the ball here in the playoffs and move forward past Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly want Xavier Robinson to be healthy. That's kind of one of the storylines these next 12 days or whatever it is, before Oklahoma faces Alabama. If you can get an Xavier Robinson, maybe not back to 100%,
sure,
but 85, 90%, that'd be great. Even Torrey Blaylock help you out too. But
I thought Torrey ran the ball a little bit better against LSU than we had seen,
and then he
all
got
season.
hurt.
Right.
So I just don't know. He's probably going to need shoulder surgery after the season, I would assume. But Xavier Robinson, if you can get him going again, man, and take some pressure off of John Mateer, who knows with this offense.
Some of the more memorable plays to come before we get there, though, before we head over to Knoxville and Tuscaloosa and then back home for a couple of the moments against Missouri and LSU, let us tell you about our good friends over at Lucy. 100% pure nicotine, always tobacco-free Lucy Breakers, the nicotine pouches with an extra surprise, each pouch holding a capsule that can be broken open to release extra flavor and hydration. What you're going to want to do, you're going to want to set yourself up with a subscription to Lucy so they deliver it straight to your door. We do that here at Soonerscoop.com. Lucy.co/SoonerScoop. Use the promo code SoonerScoop. You can choose out your different flavors: mint, mango, berry citrus, apple cider, apple ice, espresso, wintergreen. And then you can choose out your different style of milligrams. Do you want the 4, the 8, the 12? Do that. And, of course, you'll do it at lucy.co, and you'll get 20% off. Go to lucy.co/SoonerScoop and use the promo code SoonerScoop to get 20% off your first order. Lucy has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. And as we always tell you, here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Thank you to our good friends over at Lucy. That brings us into Red November and Tennessee. No better place to start in Red November and the trip to Neyland Stadium than with a 71-yard scoop and score from R. Mason Thomas that I don't think is crazy now that Oklahoma's into the college football playoff to say a play that single-handedly changed the trajectory of the season.
Saved their season. I mean, I think it is, if we were to rank these plays, it's number one in terms of plays this year, moments this year, whatever you want to call it. R. Mason Thomas scooping and scoring on that play, I think single-handedly changed the season. And, we've talked about it ad nauseum, but I mean, Tennessee's driving down to maybe go up 14-0, and this play happens, and it kind of sparked everything.
Great play by Owen Heineke as well to knock the ball loose.
My guy, Owen Heineke. But just an unbelievable effort play. Obviously, unfortunately, he gets hurt. We'll see if he can make it back for the college football playoff. But you're right, Eddie. It totally changed everything for Oklahoma, that one single play.
Pretty incredible to think that they're 3 or 4 plays possibly being away from falling down 14-0 in Neyland, and we were both there that night and knowing how electric that crowd was.
And I thought it was going to be a very close game. I didn't think OU was going to win. I think you thought that OU probably was not going to win. For them to win in that fashion, and really, obviously that sparked them being in the game. They dominated that second half. Sure. Oklahoma kind of dominated the second half. Probably should have won by more than they did. They kind of screwed around there in the last few minutes, with the interception and all of that. So, they really took care of business, and that's when it was like, okay, this football team's going to be fine. Like they're going to, now I don't think anybody thought that they were going to go beat Alabama the next week. But.
No, but we stay in Knoxville for the second moment coming out of Neyland Stadium, and that was the legend that was born with the short pants himself, Tate Sandell, 55, 51, 40, 55. Just kind of the first moment that we really found out that this guy, no matter the moment, no matter the situation, if you got the ball over across maybe like the 35, 40-yard line, you're going to have a chance to put up points on the board. Tate Sandell was fantastic. One of the reasons, and probably one of the many reasons, but this performance specifically and the way that he, for the most part, won Oklahoma a football game with his leg, was, one of the reasons why he's a Lou Groza finalist, George.
Yeah, on this night, OU's got a good kicker, solid, you feel good about him in certain circumstances too. OU might have the best kicker in the country. Like that's what happened overnight in this game. And OU does not win this game without him. OU's not sitting in the college football playoff without Tate Sandell. Just an absolute weapon. The shorts, man, what a story. And I just think that it's awesome, getting to know him too. He's such a great, guy to get to know, and his country, background.
Yeah.
Kind of his story. I wrote about it earlier this year, but his story of getting to Oklahoma has been awesome. But just fantastic. I mean, look at.
Still don't know how that's
50.
That's the second 55-yarder.
It's great. He had 2 55-yarders. I mean, it's single-handedly the greatest kicking performance in school history.
Yeah, I remember you saying that Barry Trammell proclaimed that throughout the press box at Neyland Stadium. It certainly. I can't think of any other performances like that by an Oklahoma kicker. And one of the reasons, again, that Oklahoma found themselves in position to go down to Tuscaloosa and continue the magical run that became Red November. And where better place to start in Tuscaloosa than yet again another performance by the defense, creating points when Oklahoma wasn't able to find much success offensively, especially in the first half. Eli Bowen, pick 6.
Unbelievable. Another one of those plays, just like the R. Mason Thomas play, comes at the exact time you need it to. I think Oklahoma was up 3-0 at this point. Alabama's trying to respond. And obviously, I think they had just had the Kobe McKenzie fumble that he wasn't able to land on.
Oh, yeah.
And for Bowen to come up with that play, Kip Lewis kind of causes it there with the blitz that Ty Simpson never saw coming. And then the effort to get all the way to the end zone. OU doesn't win this game without it. I mean, it was one of the few scores that they had in this game. So just a remarkable play. And again, we've said this before, but I don't think we realized just how good Eli Bowen was. Like getting him back at corner was a massive, massive deal for Oklahoma.
It's kind of funny that we two of these moments are both, or I guess not moments, but we talked about Cortland Guillory, obviously, All-American freshman. This was another All-American freshman with Eli Bowen. There's a significant reason why most of the excitement comes about those quarterbacks, and especially some of the younger guys like Eli and Cortland Guillory.
Yeah, I mean, they're so good, and both those guys I think are going to be NFL guys, and they're going to be back next year, and you're like, man, how good could this defense be again a year from now? And the offense can get a little bit better, but certainly Eli's been, he hasn't even played a full season. Like, imagine if this guy can stay healthy and play a full season, how good he could be. I think he's an all-SEC caliber player. He's not going to make it, which it sounds like that's going to be announced maybe tomorrow, the all-SEC team. So be on the lookout for that. He's not going to make it, but I think he is one of the best corners in this league.
No doubt about it. That will stay in Tuscaloosa for another major moment, and a moment that, again, one of those things that happens that if they don't get this play, or if this doesn't turn out to be a profound moment for Oklahoma in this game, who knows if they're going to win the game, because I believe they were losing at the time. Taylor Wein strip sack of Ty Simpson that gave Oklahoma the ball damn near the end of the third quarter, I believe. They end up paying it off with a Tate Sandell field goal at the beginning of the fourth quarter, if I remember correctly.
There's the game-winning field goal.
That's
it
right.
ended up being the game-winning field goal. So a game-winning play by Taylor Wein in a game that OU was without R. Mason Thomas. It was a huge storyline. Remember, going into that game was, is R. Mason going to be able to play? And, if he can't, what does it look like for Oklahoma defensively in this pass rush? And it was Taylor Wein who obviously came up with the biggest play for them late in that game. And, you wish you could finish with a touchdown, but just a monster play by Taylor Wein, who I do think is going to be an all-SEC player.
How high do you think he could be?
In the all-SEC?
Yeah.
Second team?
Yeah.
I bet he's third team. Maybe second team, but statistically he could be. I don't know. Maybe he could be first team, but statistically, I think he might lead the conference in tackles for loss, where he's right there in the top. 5. So I certainly would be shocked if he's not on any of the three teams, but he should be on there.
What a moment it was for Taylor Wein here as Oklahoma gets the ball back. And it was just kind of one of those moments, another one of those defensive plays, too, that it was just a moment where you go, I think they're going to be okay here. Like, it was another one of those reminders that this defense is going to come up with the most important play at the most important time.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what they showed in these two games on the road was that they, this was the hard to kill moments, right? Like, that's right. Where that was born from, was these moments where, OU was leading that whole game, then they give up the lead. It's 21-20. I think Oklahoma went 3 and out, and then they gave it back, and Alabama had the ball back, and that's when this play was made, and it was like, okay, Oklahoma's probably going to end up losing this game. It was a valiant effort, all that, and Taylor Wein comes up with one of the best plays of the season and keeps Oklahoma alive. He's
been incredible. And
He's been
awesome. Certainly, and we talked about it here on the Soonerscoop.com YouTube channel, just in terms of building confidence. They found ways to win in Knoxville and Tuscaloosa that I don't think that anybody, maybe outside of the Switzer Center, thought that they could do. And all of a sudden, you have this opportunity in front of you, and you come back home, and that leads into our final two plays here with Isaiah Sategna making two impact moments, none bigger than here beginning in the Owen Field with the 87-yard touchdown against Missouri that went from a game that looked like it was going to be, are they going to throw up all over themselves, to, all of a sudden they have a 7-3 lead, George.
Yeah, look, the offense has not been good in the second half of the season, but the one guy that's kind of kept them afloat and come up with plays when they absolutely needed it is this guy, Isaiah Sategna. He's been amazing, with the ball in his hands and being able to get upfield and make plays like that. I mean, that totally changed the dynamic of this football game. After this, I want to say Missouri went 3 and out, shanked punt, and then Oklahoma went up 14-3, and it was over at that point. So, and then you had the LSU game.
Not to be outdone with probably the play of the year, just in terms of importance.
Yeah. What was this? A 57? I think it was 57-yarder. There in the fourth quarter. Another moment where the one against Missouri, I think, was in the second quarter.
Yes.
And so you still felt like there's a lot of time left. This was like, if they don't score here, this game's over. They're not going to win. They're going to blow it. They're going to miss the college football playoff. So to come and he's running wide open, but still to come up with the play and in this moment, and then you look at his season as a total, and I think he leads the SEC this year in conference play in receiving yards. 900-something yards this year. It's the most by an OU wide receiver since Marvin Mims in a single season. So he's been fantastic. Has a chance to hit over 1,000. Would be the first since Marvin Mims in 2022. So he's been an amazing weapon for Oklahoma. Arguably their best transfer portal pickup in a lot of ways. Him, Tate Sandell, obviously Mateer, but he's been fantastic. So to come up with those plays, because there's one of those things, Eddie, when you talk about Red November. When they won those games in Knoxville and Tuscaloosa, you're like, oh, wow, now they can, if they just take care of business at home. But I think there was always this part in the back of your head, they're going to blow it against one of these teams, aren't they?
And to be in such tight ball games. I mean, you only score 17 points in both of the games. Obviously, the Missouri game, you felt a little bit better because you had the big lead at 14-3 in the second quarter, as you talked about with that sequence that went from.
And you didn't turn the ball over. The LSU game was so you felt worse about it because you kept turning the ball over in big moments that it was you can't win this game if you lose the turnover margin. So
the offense hasn't been good, but when they've needed it, they've come through in certain moments. You can pick and choose what you want to do, but certainly it's hard to get over the 71-yard.
This is the play of the year. I mean,
school record too.
Yeah, no matter what happens in the playoff, and man, I hope R. Mason can play because he can be a difference maker like that. But if he can come in and play in this game, it would be huge. But that's the play that Eddie, no matter what happens in the playoff, that's a play I think you're never going to forget.
Yeah, it's on the it's on the highlight reel, at least for this season. And if they're able to go further, it only gets bigger as a play in the lore of Oklahoma history.
If they had turned around and lost to Alabama the next week, not that it wouldn't have still been a great play, but it kind of would have lost some of its luster. For sure.
I guess we could say this now that they're in the playoff, but if they go on a run and you go to a national championship or you get to a semifinal or something, I think it'll be probably thought about for a lot of people, a la kind of somewhat similar to the Torrance Marshall play in 2000 down at College Station, changing the tide. I know that came later on in the game, but certainly you never know what happens if Tennessee goes up 14-0.
Yeah, and one play that too always sticks in my head, and this is one that a lot of OU fans probably want to forget, the game at least, is the Stephen Parker scoop and score at the Rose Bowl.
Sure. Ran right by me.
That's why it'd be cool if Oklahoma were able to win this game against Alabama, get back to the Rose Bowl, and maybe exercise some of those demons.
First things first, got to beat Alabama on Friday, December 19th. And shout out to me for some great video. Thank you. It was sometimes you have good shots, and then sometimes you have bad shots.
Those were all good. We didn't put any bad shots.
We didn't put any bad ones in there. That
even
might have been by
the
purpose.
Field goals from Tate Sandell to get the one of the just barely over the.
I kind of lost it a little bit.
Yeah,
lost it.
What's
in the
the one play
Neyland.
this year that you missed that you're like, I can't? You're mad at yourself that you didn't get that one play because you hit on the big ones.
Trying to think. There was a couple here as of late, like the last couple of weeks.
Any touchdowns? And you're like, oh, I missed
I don't
it.
think so.
Well, there you go. He's the best in the business. That's why.
I don't think so. But there are definitely some plays within, Jaron Cannix. I think he had a 15-yard reception in the fourth quarter or third quarter against LSU that I didn't get. I got faked out. But either way, that's it. That's going to be today's program. Wanted to take a look back at a number of plays that Oklahoma had to make, moments that, if they're able to go on, we're going to certainly be talking about more and more here as the weeks and the days move forward. It feels like it's going to be a long 11 days, but at the same time, it feels like it's going to be tomorrow as well, leading into
it's going to happen fast.
The Friday night kickoff.
It's going to happen fast. I am worried about this coming weekend because I have nothing to do. There's no football.
Army Navy?
I mean, there's no
Navy?
there's no college football. Army Navy, I'll watch. But
Heisman?
Fernando
Mendoza, is he going to win?
I don't know. Diego Pavia is also, I think, right there. Okay. So
Should be interesting. Bedlam basketball coming up at the end of the week on Saturday as well. Remember, Big Game Football Factory, biggameusa.com/Sooners CFP. You can get the exact football Oklahoma will be using in the college football playoff. Really cool keepsake if you got a dad or a mom or somebody, uncle, aunt that enjoys collecting and that kind of thing. Certainly a memorable moment here for Oklahoma getting back into the college football playoff. So thank you to them. Thank you to you for watching. We will be back on Tuesday. I believe we're going to talk to a national scribe to get an idea of the college football playoff. Obviously, Alabama coming back into town at the end of next week for a big one at Owen Field. For George Stoya, I'm Eddie Radosevich. We'll see you back here on the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel.